that's tough to do too. Yeah, but again, like I keep going back to it, but you're not like if you're a pure subjective reviewer, this person you're making up, they're also not saying data's terrible. You can't trust data. You know, objective reviewers don't even listen to music. Like you're not saying that. So I don't care. My only problem is when you step over and start saying things that it's just like it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, oh, objective reviewers, they just don't enjoy the music. You got to listen with your ears. It's like, all right, like I don't even like how. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff I'm like, dude.
I guess I'm trying to connect the two, right? It seems like I'm just trying to make it so it's trying to bring the two together, right? Trying to understand both sides. And I would say if somebody did enjoy the speaker, right? I'm a reviewer. I really enjoyed this PreSonus Eris 3.5, right?
Yeah, dude.
The measurements
lit up in the comments for it. Yeah.
Right? The measurements say they suck. And
they suck.
Oh, they suck.
They're terrible. Who cares what the measurements say? They sound garbage.
Dude, right? Dude, Joe saw them at NAMM. He's like, dude, you want to go tell those people they got the worst sounding speaker? I fixed the worst sounding speakers. You know, you want to show them this video? I'm like, oh man.
I'm like, should we go over there and talk to them and tell them?
Well, they know who you are. They probably saw you coming.
But so like that speaker is a speaker that was on Wirecutter's like top thing, right? And a lot of people on Amazon seem to like it, right? A lot, like thousands of people who have bought this thing are like, I really like this speaker. So if let's say if I'm a reviewer and I'm like, I actually kind of like this cheap speaker, right? Does that make me not legit? Because it makes it seem like I'm now it's, am I right or wrong? And now it's not subjective, right? It makes it seem like I have the measurements, these suck, and what you're saying is actually wrong. Now it seems like I'm trying to fool my audience, even though what if I actually do like them?
Yeah. Well, so the example I gave earlier about how there's this common theme of like find a reviewer that has the same listening taste as you, and then you can trust them. Like I don't really subscribe to that, but what I do subscribe to is anybody who says that the Eris 3.5 is a really fantastic sounding speaker. They're deaf. Like I don't know what else to say, and I'm not going to trust anything that they say from then on. It's just a bad speaker. But then the other factor is like a speaker on its own may be fine, right? Like it may be fine, but when you compare it to another speaker, you're going to start noticing differences.
This has on Amazon.
That's Amazon.
On Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. The PreSonus Eris 3.5. 25,000 ratings. Right. And the average rating is like 5 stars.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm surprised they've sold that many through Amazon, but okay. But if they're $100,
so I think it's partially yes, they're cheap, right? They're just happy that they're so cheap and they work. You know,
got sound. Yeah, that's good enough.
They have sound coming out.
That's what 5-star review. They get sound.
Their goal is different,
but they didn't have to give it 5 stars. They could have given it 4 stars or 3 stars. Like it just worked and it was okay, but they kind of sound weird. But they didn't say that. A lot of the people.
Then you go back to, you know, do you actually prefer that over another speaker that measures better, actually sounds better? Probably not. But you don't know because you're in a vacuum. Like that's all you know is this one speaker and it makes sound and that's good enough.
It says here, you know, they have the AI summary.
Oh yeah.
The AI summary. Customers are satisfied with the speaker's sound quality, value for money, and build quality. They find the speakers loud and clear, making them a great upgrade from cheaper speakers. The speakers perform well for desktop or TV use and can be used in kitchens or living rooms for general media and non-competitive gaming. The compact size is ideal for smaller spaces, yet they maintain their ability to play music. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can't argue. That's objective data. 5 stars, 25,000 reviews. I'm wrong. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Aaron's audio corner.
I love it. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well,
Eris 3.5. I mean, this is I think this is a good example, though. This is a specific.
Oh, there's one. We can find many more. You know,
this one is extreme, though, right?
Because it's $100. If every speaker I reviewed was $100, you'd find 25,000 reviews.
Look at
on those two.
See that
big, huge mid-range suck out. Now, if you give somebody an EQ and boost that up, I guarantee you they're going to like the one that fills in that suck out. because you're losing all the vocals. It's like at least 5, maybe 7 decibels. That's just like,
this is funny, right? Good. So people like this though, right? People have said that they like the speaker.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on, let me show another.
What? You're just gonna make me quit. You're just gonna make me so sad.
No, I'm
just gonna stop.
I feel like
tell people to go to Amazon, man.
This is a good discussion, though. This is a healthy discussion.
I'm just gonna say, listen, whatever the people on Amazon say, that's what you need to listen to.
That's what they're gonna do anyway. More people are gonna listen to that 5-star rating. I think 25,000 reviews. That's a lot of reviews.
Oh yeah, that's a boatload.
The best computer speakers by our buddy Brent Butterworth. So this guy, Brent Butterworth, has done lots of measurements. He did a lot of the stuff for the CEA 2010. Is that the subwoofer one?
Yes.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, I reached out to him when I first started doing that testing for advice.
So Brent knows what's up with measurements. And he told me that they did blind listening tests for these desktop speakers, right? Okay, so those are the top ones. These are the budget pick, upgrade pick, and then right here, PreSonus Eris 3.5.
Yeah, but it says 4 smaller desks. So is that the caveat that the other ones are just larger and it doesn't really make sense to use those? And does that really mean that that's the best sounding one out of all the others? Or does that just mean that it's good enough sounding, but it's also the smallest one?
It says this pair puts excellent sound and controls. Excellent sound.
Doesn't handle deep bass well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here doesn't have quite as much bass and sounds a little distorted. Did people not notice that the mid range was gone? Like, I'm sorry. That makes no sense to me.
Anyway, to me, that's funny, right? That's like an extreme example of that disconnect, right?
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about the way majority of people listen to music, they're not even fucking paying attention.
Yeah, it's background.
Like it's just on. So would they notice that the like
it's a blind
with the way that if you listen to rap these days, like right? Like who knows what the hell they're saying?
I'm putting everybody on blast today.
It depends. If it's $100 or how much ever it is, and it makes sound, it's got bass, chances are people are gonna love it.
Yeah. Like, man, I listen to so much music just through my phone, just like sitting around, sit on the countertop in the kitchen, stuff like that. So I'm not listening for high fidelity.
You know what you need? You need what you need for your kitchen, Aaron? You need a HiFi Rose 150B streamer. That's what you need.
That makes perfect sense. No, I mean, I can get this Eris 3.5 because it makes a great kitchen speaker.
Hey, Shauna, did you ever have this speaker here?
Yeah.
Avantone Pro Mix Cube.
Yeah.
How many of them did you have?
15.
15 of them.
Well, I had to buy them in pairs, so 16. Yeah, I bought them, yeah.
You bought them. They're not that cheap, right? What do you think about them? What do you think? You're a professional.
I thought they were great for the time being, but there was no highs.
They were great for the time being. So overall, like, what's your summary of the audio? We're gonna put you on blast right now.
The audio, it's not that like from a frequency standpoint, it's not that great.
Okay,
not that great. But I didn't need. All I needed was to pan the sounds around the room because I already did the mix on a 2-channel setup where there were good enough. But
did you hate it though? Did you hate it?
I didn't hate it. I thought it was cool.
Okay. All right.
Until I got better speakers, and I'm like, oh my god, these are great. The newer speakers are great, not these.
There they are, bro.
Yeah, look at that.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, what is our threshold? What is our threshold really for inaccurate?
Rough.
That's you can't. That's like you can't even make that up. Like,
yeah, you can't write this shit. Look at how crazy that is.
That's impossibly bad.
Hey, but look at the directivity, Joe.
Exactly. That's what I keep saying. That's what I'm telling everybody.
But that's an extreme. Like, there's no way that you put that next to a neutral speaker and you're going to think that one sounds good just because it has good direction.
So it's made for in the studio just to work on mids. That's essentially it. That's it.
Okay.
So like they have a purpose. I was using them because they were the smallest speakers that would fit on microphone stands.
That doesn't. It doesn't look like a good idea to mix on this like ever.
Yeah.
Right. Based on the
design to do.
You know what I'm saying though.
I think these ones are a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Joe showed me these because they have a little
what are those?
little hole at the bottom. This is the
monoprice ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good speakers.
The THX satellites.
Yeah.
And they're less expensive, same size, smaller probably than those.
Smaller, smaller, yeah.
So what I've been saying for a long time, or not that long, but recently I've been thinking like I think this is more indicative of what people are likely to say whether they like it or hate it. This green line down here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it plays a part, but I would say that there's no way that you're going to do that speaker and find another one that's more neutral, but still has pretty much the same directivity, and they're going to choose the Avid one over the other one. They're just like, it doesn't even make sense.
Back to your Eris, right?
Yeah.
Like the directivity is pretty okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't even matter in the Nearfield. So that's the other thing is like, how are these people setting these things up? You know, and like, are they putting it near a wall? Is it going to fill in that mid-range on its own? That might help some. They're sitting right on a desk. That might help some.
I'm just trying to figure out why people like it, right?
I still think that
what about this is something that somebody would like, right? If you look at this, then you have to think that all those people are crazy is the only thing, or you have to say, hey, they just like it's just because it's cheap. But there are speakers that are more expensive, and now the excuse has to be, oh, it's because it's expensive. That's why they like it because they already spent the money. So,
yeah, I think it really just falls down to what's their reference. If you don't have a good reference, then you got sound, and that's probably okay. Right? Like when you're starting out, who cares? How many radios or stations have you listened to, like on the radio, and thought that sounds fine, but you didn't really have anything to compare it to. Like you didn't have a good stereo to compare it to, so you didn't really care.
Anyway, that's all. I'm just trying to, different perspective, because if I look at any of the other measurements, there's really very few redeeming qualities about this Eris, right?
Right.
Very few. Like nothing I can say here is like, oh, that's I guess that's whitish. Okay. Like what can I say? Distortion, horrible.
Yeah, but it's a small speaker too, so I'm not really bothered about its distortion.
So I guess like how do you correlate it then? How do you correlate 25,000 people who like it just because it's cheap?
I think that factors in, but again, I think that those same people don't have a good reference. They're not ABXing these kind of things, so they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I think if they did, they'd always choose the one that sounds more neutral. Which that study has already been shown, and I believe it because it just makes sense.
Okay. How about this though? What if you had a speaker that was linear here but had horrible directivity?
Is it a Nearfield speaker?
And okay, we can do Nearfield and the regular speaker.
Well, you're going to have different sounds then. If you're in the far field, you're going to get reflections, so it's going to be different. That directivity is going to matter. In the near field, who cares? It's pretty much the way that you point that speaker is what you're going to hear.
Okay.
Like you don't have reflections that you really have to worry about.
Okay.
Try it out sometime. Like there was a speaker that I just reviewed recently. I think it was the Dayton speaker. And initially I had them set up in the near field, and I was like, okay, they're not that bad. But in the far field, I think there's a lower treble bump. And I was like, well, that definitely stands out more now than it did before. And then when I looked at the data on axis, there's a dip, like a diffraction dip, and it's a pretty strong dip. But the estimated in room shows, I think, a bump there that fills in. And I'm like, this speaker sounds completely different in these two settings, and that's why. So, and that's the other thing about this stuff. Like, it all has to be looked at, and you have to figure out your use case and all that stuff. So, and just to be honest, from my perspective, as a reviewer, it's hard to cover all of that stuff. I mean, look how much we've been talking. We've been talking about this for a solid 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And we still we still haven't talked about everything there is to talk about.
No.
It's just like even just this one speaker. Like, how do these people have it set up? What's the optimal position? How far are they sitting away? Is there a wall behind the speaker or not? How far off the wall does it need to be brought out? What's the radiation pattern to the back of the speaker? If I put it closer to a wall, is that going to fill in some of that? Be like a baffle step compensation? Like, and there's all these little things that keep me awake at night. So, but it's tough, like you try to do the best you can, but there's just no way to touch everything. Sounds creepy. So,
all right. I think we can leave it there.
Now, if you can't catch the show, we do have an audio version at anchor.fm/daily HiFi. So make sure to go on over there if you like to listen to the show.